Here, look at this. John's drafted in every person's position.
Have you?
Yeah, every single person.
Okay, first things first, we just have to make sure that we are talking clearly at like a conversational volume because we have the microphone there and the microphone there.
Okay.
And that's what we're working with. So speak clearly and, with your chest. Now, what did you just say to me? You said that you've drafted from everybody's position.
Correct.
Why?
I just want to get a feel of like if I was in that position, what if I wanted to, like, who would I pick?
Oh, okay. I get it. So let me ask you this question. Why?
Why? Like, why did I do that?
John's strategy.
It's my
Why?
strategy.
Unknown.
I want to know how
wanna
people,
know the answer.
like, I want to feel like, all right, if like I was in that position, like, what guys am I liking? How would I build my team? I just want to get a feel. I just want to get an idea of how.
Trying to get inside the head of your opponent.
Yes.
Got it. Yes. So it's like the art of war type thing. You're trying to know your enemy.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
I want to know your every move.
Fair enough. Now, I draft immediately before you. What's my first move?
You moved too soon.
I'm gonna say you draft AJ Brown first overall. Easy.
Fair enough. Provided, of course, that he's available at
He's gonna
the
be
10th
available.
pick. You think so?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. This guy is the Nostradamus.
I think
prognostication.
I think AJ Brown's sitting at you. Would you choose him? I don't know.
You're also wearing eye makeup, so like we can't really trust anything you say. You have glitter on your chest, bro.
Say with your chest. You got half
Glitter. Did you notice that?
I got glitter everywhere.
Glittering.
Put
You
makeup
have a
on me.
deep V with the glittery chest, and you're telling me.
Yeah, you're the one stoned eye.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, did I ever tell you about that story? So, okay, this is a good one. I got absolutely roasted one time by two little kids. This is like 20 years ago. I was a camp counselor, and I stand up in front of the room, and I'm talking about the rules of this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, this is what you have to do, da 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 da. And I look out into the auditorium seats, and these two kids are doing this. They're like, and I was like, what the hell are these kids doing? And I just kind of like ignored it and I moved on, whatever, but they just kept doing it throughout the entire time that I was up there talking. So later we're like in the gym, and we're like playing a game, and I was like, yo, like what were you guys doing with the eyes and stuff? And he's like, the one kid looks at me and he goes, one eye is bigger than the other. It's true. It's true. And he's like pointing at me, and he's like, and I, up until that point, I had not noticed that I had like such an asymmetry of my face that it would be that noticeable. And I went home and I realized that I looked in the mirror. I was like, oh my God, the kid was right. Like I have, like my one eye is like, it's like, it's very, my face is very asymmetrical, but like nobody had ever called me out. And then like, these two little kids, they were probably like, 7 and 9 or whatever, like 10 and 12 or whatever. And they were just like, one eye.
Yeah.
It was
Kids
the kids.
no
They
filter.
absolutely roasted me. I was like in Terminator 2 or whatever, Terminator with the on the fence where the fire just like completely consumes all the flesh and it's just a skeleton on the fence. That's what happened to me. And this kid, it was like, it's true. I was like, I just like, completely burned
Went
away.
around camp.
I was a charred skeleton. So anyway, welcome to another edition of the Always Sunday Football Podcast. I'm Dave, and I'm joined, as I rarely am in person, by both Anthony and John. How's it going, fellas?
It's great. We got John here. This is awesome.
John, welcome to town, bro.
Yeah, thank you. And it's actually warm outside.
It is warm. We got our asses kicked by some rain though earlier.
Yes, we did.
Hailstorm action.
So, storming into the new season are 4 new franchises.
4.
Okay, so let's just start right there because we filled all of our open teams. We did the selection special. Okay, we didn't really know who any of these guys were. If you're not already getting the notifications on the app or paying attention to the chat, definitely do that because we've got a lot of trash talking happening already, and this draft hasn't even happened yet, which I really like. I appreciate that.
Interaction's always good.
The 2023 champ, Lou, is one of the new teams. He's going to be keeping this year Miles Sanders, and he has the number 2 pick overall. Now, Lou has watched the last episode. He's paying attention. He's probably watching this right now. Does anybody have a message or anything that they'd like to say to welcome Lou to the league?
I'll start off with you, Anthony.
It's Luis, actually. He has Lou as his screen name, but it's Luis.
No, just come in, do your homework, be ready.
Fair enough. John.
Guys, gonna be a last place team. Sorry, you're garbage, man. You're gonna be in the bottom, buddy. I can't wait for you to draft Tom Brady. Can't wait.
With the first pick in the draft, another thing that I can't wait for. I can't wait to see who goes first overall.
Yes.
Eddie is going to be keeping Tua. Have you spoken to Eddie recently?
I've been messaging with him here and
Don't
there.
divulge any information.
No
I'm sure
information.
that you're trying to try and pick because you're picking fourth. You're trying to like figure out like what he might be doing because you're trying to like make your draft board. John is already predicting what's going to be happening in
John already knows who's already
late
picking.
rounds. He's like everybody. He already knows who everybody's.
Right. No, I know Eddie. I've played with him. Like I said, we're in another league together that he actually runs. I'm interested to see where he goes. Like, any of his choices he currently has, he can't be wrong no matter which way he goes, in my opinion.
He could be wrong. We've seen people be wrong with the first pick before. Recently,
with the choices
Jonathan
that
Taylor.
he's going with.
we saw a guy pick Patrick Mahomes first overall not too long ago. That was wrong, objectively wrong.
Right, I'm saying from his choice list
of the people that you think that he's considering.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
Any one
So
of those guys.
the guys he's talking about, you feel like no matter what he does.
I mean, you can't go wrong.
Fair enough.
It's like choosing any one of the first four pick guys.
So if I'm sitting with Tua there, I'm either making two options.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I'm going to go either the Hill stack or I'm taking CMC in our league. The reason why I'm saying that, like, CMC is just, I don't know, like, the guy is just a power back. He does it all. He's like a go-go gadget. And the good thing about that team is they have, like, two go-go gadget guys. Like, Deebo Samuel, like, people forget that, like, he had a little bit of a down year. He's still Deebo Samuel. And they have, like, two gadget players in their offense, which makes their team so unique. So I just think that, like, a guy like CMC is just a guy that he could do it all. He's great. And also later down the road, the reason why I like the CMC pick there is also Elijah Moore is way down the line. That's also a great running back. So in case like CMC gets hurt or whatever the case may be, that you got a viable a handcuff option.
Well, you just said, isn't he hurt? He is. Elijah Mitchell is nobody's safety
Elijah
net.
Moore is on the wrong team, but Elijah Mitchell just got hurt.
Elijah Mitchell is always hurt, so I wouldn't feel too good about him.
They're working out Duke Johnson.
And if you're talking about drafting a handcuff, shame on you. But
tell him. Maybe he's part of his plan.
What you're right. The thing is, I think he's confused because he's probably drafted Mitchell late, but on somebody else's team, not the CMC team.
He's drafted so many different positions.
It's
lost.
It has to be tough. It has to be tough to keep track of all of that.
I mean, CMC, Chase, Hill, Eckler, Cup for him. Can't go wrong with any one of those first.
So any one of those first five guys,
you can't go wrong with those.
You can't go wrong,
in my opinion.
I mean, Cup, another guy who's already dealing with some injuries. They're saying it's not a big deal, but it feels like a big deal when it's Cup because when he gets injured, he does that really well too. He gets like super duper injured. It's not just like a little injury.
It's a scary situation, but I mean, the Hill thing would be interesting though because. It's a stack, right?
It has tremendous value. And when Tua was healthy, the Miami offense was very, very good. And Hill was good with or without Tua.
Yep.
So the first 3 picks, actually, because we have Eddie, then we have Luis, and then we have Will. That's what she said in the 3rd pick. So we have 3 brand new teams right at the beginning of our draft. Will is going to be keeping. I forget who's going to be keeping.
Justin Jefferson?
No.
It's a 7th pick, Jay.
Will is going to be keeping because the Alvin Kamara news just came out. We'll put that news right in here right now. Alvin Kamara suspended 3 games. I guess it's possible that it could get reduced maybe to 2 games or something like that. I haven't heard anything of that nature. I'm just kind of saying that because very often there is reductions in these penalties. But he's out 3 games as of now. Will heard that news, locked in Jamal Williams as his keeper. And he's going to be another person who, with the 3rd pick in the draft, we have to kind of see how things shake out.
That's why it's for me. I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? But I can't stress it out.
Yeah,
Just gotta see what happens.
you're sitting at 4,
4.
so you're the first. How does it feel
How does it feel?
to be like the lowest remaining, worst? I guess you could say the worst team
Oh, yeah.
of any of us who were in the league
Returning.
last year, right? John, statistically speaking, is that right or wrong?
Yeah.
I didn't really think about that till right now. But
He
Anthony,
definitely didn't think about that till right now.
just a few words on that.
Yeah, I only have one set of words, John, and that's
You guys are both very soft-spoken.
it's called injuries. Injuries.
Oh, so you're still sticking with the injuries thing.
How is that not a thing to be stuck with?
Because, I mean, we had a new player, ask about how much a transaction cost. And I was like, well, it doesn't cost anything. You just you bid on a player or whatever. I explained the fab bidding process, but you don't actually have to pay money to get these players. It's called adding and dropping, right? So what happens, John, when you have a player who's injured, what do? You just you drop and you pick somebody else up or whatever. You make transactions, you make moves, and anybody can do that.
Right.
Right. Sure. So,
But when there's so many that doesn't matter.
yeah, I don't know, man.
I lost my RB1, my wide receiver one. I traded my. But they don't know those things. But you know what? Let them think that I'm poop.
This was, I think, an epic. We've had some bad injuries. Everybody has bad injuries in the league, and we've had a couple of bad injuries sort of pile up. But when you talk about injury after injury after injury after injury, Anthony would trade for you traded for a player, and then he got injured the very next week.
It was 2 weeks later. I traded for Cup. Yeah.
Javonte Williams got injured right away. There was
Mike Williams.
a bunch of different players that just one after the other.
I picked up it was almost like I was toxic. I picked up a player.
It was true,
and they played good, and then the next week they go down.
Right? Didn't somebody who you got in a trade
go down? Juju,
hurt, and then somebody who you traded away ended up also
anybody
getting
who
hurt.
was in my hand. It was,
Right.
it was hurt.
It was you were the kiss of death. You just completely destroyed players' health.
It was rough.
So yeah, hopefully a better season from you. Hopefully a better sort of injury luck, because again, we've seen players have to deal with 1 or 2 major injuries, but yours were just one after the other after the other. It was pretty funny after a while.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you just couldn't catch a break, buddy.
No, it was pretty bad.
And
At one point, I think your whole team was just straight up injured.
No, it was.
I
to
think
the
you
point
started-
where I literally could only pick up one person because I couldn't drop any of the bench players because they were all injured, but actual startable people. It was so bad.
Yeah, you were just holding on to injured guys for week after week after week. It's tough.
You can't drop a Mike Williams. You can't drop.
Well, you could. You just couldn't. You could do it. You didn't do it. But it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Mike
That was last year.
Williams.
That was last year. This is this
I
year.
want you to draft Mike Williams this year.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's one of those, he's scarred.
You will draft Keenan out.
I won't draft Keaton. But he is looking at that rookie.
He won't fall, but I think I'm good because Herbert's standalone. I don't have to try and get to me a guy.
You don't have to go out of your
He's
way.
going to throw for close to 5,000, if not over 5,000. So I'm not gonna. I'd rather just not worry about it. Which guy is going to go over
But you're also not as interested in Eckler.
Not at 4.
No. Fair enough. I
It's
understand.
going to be really interesting. I already know how it's
You've
going to
already drafted from the 4 spot.
You know what's funny is we spoke about this when we were waiting at Topgolf yesterday.
Okay, go ahead.
And he was like, I'm going to draft. And he pulled out his phone. I'm going to draft for you in your spot. And then the first pick comes. He's like, you want CMC, right? I'm like, no. He's like, all right, CMC. I was like, I don't want it. I don't, like, somehow CMC fell in me at 4. Not that that's not huge value to have CMC at 4.
But
I
if-
just,
let me ask you this: in the situation that John was in, where it was CMC versus whatever receivers that were,
He was like, no. I was like, you're bugging.
you told him I would pick X player, and he's like, no, and he picked CMC.
I think he
for
went
you instead.
CMC, yeah.
John, what's the thought process there?
Why would
He just
you
thought-
pick CMC?
See?
It makes no sense.
Well,
That's 'cause if
maybe
he
because
was-
he values the wide receiver position over the running back position. You ever think about that?
Yeah, but it's like having a wide receiver and a running back. He fucking catches the ball and rushes.
Right, but not all the time, and his usage is honestly it's concerning because I think that he's in danger of potentially getting injured. I think a lot of people are scared of his injury potential. I think that's really what it is.
I wouldn't even, my reasoning has nothing to do with him. Like in best ball, if I had a 4 spot and CMC was there, I'll take it all day.
Yeah.
It's just, I
did
like
that today, actually. I had a 4 spot and I got CMC.
No, just draft Kane Allen for sure. I'm just
I like my wide receiver value. They're both great there, and I guess you can't choose. But like at the 2-3 turn, I like the wide receiver. I like the running back value there.
You feel as though you can get a better running back or pair of running backs at the 2-3 turn versus the receivers that are available at the 2-3 turn. So you're going to go receiver early because you know that you're going to get better choices of running backs than better choices of receivers.
Right, because like if I grab a RB
makes
right
sense.
there, that person's a top 10 RB.
John, as a professional mock drafter, you got to appreciate that kind of strategy, right?
This guy. Yeah, I gotta give it to him.
Well,
Right.
no, it's just like
You're
I
just
can,
looking
I can
at the
grab
player pool.
I can grab the RB2 right there that ends the year, and then I come back around and I got receiver
True.
8 and 12. But like I feel like
It's
I
just-
can get an RB that is at the 2-3 turn, or 2 of them that could pop into the top 10
Like
as opposed to the other.
I would say in the earlier rounds, like getting that running back early because you could get 2 stud RB1s in those first 2 rounds.
So that's your
And then
strategy.
I
that
feel
you
like
want.
wide receivers so deep now where you can go, okay, I'm going to do wide receiver, because like the depth of like wide receiver production, in my
Tell you
opinion,
what.
it's a passing league.
It also
I
depends on how the draft goes. And how the draft
So
is
you
going.
feel as though the wide receivers are just by definition going to be deeper because there's just more passing to be had.
Correct.
So instead of each team only using 2 receivers on the field, they use essentially 3 receivers all the time. So there's more available fantasy options on
Correct.
receivers. So
Yes,
you
you're
can go
starting-
running back heavy first. So for example, at the 11 turn, like the first round turn,
Correct.
you're looking at running back, the best 2 running backs available on the board there. That way you have like 2 of the top, say 6 top 5 running backs.
Correct.
And then you can just hammer a receiver after that.
After receiver. Yeah, correct. And I think that's an interesting strategy.
Right, and you're gonna have
in
2
the early-
top 5 RBs, which is gonna be tough. You will come out with the fuck. I got the RB stack this week, but your receivers will be a little bit on the.
But what I'm saying is
not if
that
he
like
knows which
that,
receivers
yeah.
to pick, which
So-
he does because he's drafted from every position.
Right, he knows who's gonna pick and what's gonna be left, so he knows.
He knows who I'm picking in the 5th round.
5th round. He knows that CMC is gonna fall to me at 4, and that's apparently who I'm gonna pick.
Over which receivers?
What do you mean? Or
I said, like, let's hypothetically, like, we did a hypothetical. And I said, like, let's say Hill goes first.
Let's say he goes with the stack. Would you guys think he's supposed to? That he
It's not
that it would
supposed
not
to.
supposed to. Yeah, that was a poor choice of words. I'm sorry.
It's,
You would think
make
that
sense.
it would make a lot of benefit. It would be beneficial for him.
well, because look, if
To make
he's
that
choosing receiver, I said, I mean, listen, if you're going to go RB, you're going RB. If you're choosing receiver, who are your options? Chase, Cup, and then who's the next guy? Hill.
No, I think it's Chase, Hill, and then Cup is the next guy.
However you look at it, so like
I think Hill is ranked above Cup.
And if you think Chase is above Hill, you can't knock the guy for going Hill. I think that's a fair choice. But
I
the two
agree.
is.
I agree.
So I said, let's say that he's like, now I'm stack sandwiching that right now because he's not going to get Waddle on the back end of his two. So he's like, I'm going to have my stack lunch sandwich, and then.
Did you say stack lunch sandwich?
I might have said that. So I don't know what we said for 2-3 because I don't want to.
Well, yeah, it's
So
really.
then I think I said so. Like he said, if Chase goes in that bunch, and let's just say, like Kelsey for some reason, right? Just some person to push up to bring back to have the option to choose CMC, Cup, kind of thing. And I chose Cup.
And you chose Cup.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing wrong with the pick.
Now, because like tell you what, when I made the picks, what do you mean? I'm gonna pick CMC.
And I get it.
So the only thing I would
It's
say,
risky business. I'm gonna be looking into this little injury thing and watching the way he moves. Like, hey buddy, how you feeling?
Right. Go ahead, John.
I just think in the earlier rounds, I don't know, like Anthony, you're in a really good position to like grab a really, really.
I like where you're at. I like you guys. I like the back ends of the draft.
I'm gonna be honest with you, like a lot of those picks, it's like the death corner. It's literally the death corner.
Well, yeah, John and I were talking about this last night. The back end of the draft is Narkowitz, me, John, Danny Mac. So that 4 picks back and forth at the corner of
But
this
the-
draft is
the-
it's a rough place to draft.
And then like I said, my 4 is interesting. So
Because you have
don't
all
know
new
who to
guys.
expect. You
you
don't know
what's
what to
going on.
expect.
We've
Right.
learned a lot of our guys, and we can kind of we actually do that during the draft where. Like if you're up, I'm like, yo, you see this board? He's fucking picking this guy right here. You know what I mean? We're like, we try to guess the person. We have no clue, like who this person, like who these, like round 1 maybe, but like on that, you could have no idea who these people are picking.
I do have no idea. I can tell you that right now. It's going to be
You've
just
been
a
in a
lot
league
of
with
fun.
Eddie. So how did he draft before?
Well, it's a totally
It's hard
different
to
league.
remember.
I not for your boy, but like last year he had Eckler, but it's a totally different league. It's a 10-man league. Totally changes the game.
Oh,
True, yeah,
So
very
this,
big.
So is this? I wonder. I wish we should. It's too bad we can't. Like,
He's
get
been
him on
in a
the line.
12-man before.
He's been in 12-man before. Okay.
But it's not a league like this one. We got a lot of fun and good scoring, fair scoring, tough competition.
So now let me ask you guys this. So now let's get away from our league specifically and now talk about the NFL because we've got some training camp videos to look at. We've got some, sort of like coach speak. We've got some beat reporters coming out saying this, that, and the other thing. Has there been any news that kind of jumped off the page to you as something that should be paid attention to, as opposed to something that's just like, oh, that's just camp reports? John, anything that jumps into your mind?
Man,
I can go with something first if you guys want to think.
I'm gonna have to think of that
Okay,
for right now.
I got one for you. Damian Pierce as like a 3-down back pass catcher. There's been a couple of videos that have been coming out and a couple of people talking about Damian Pierce. Like Damian Pierce made a couple of really great catches. I mean, it's in training camp, but the CJ Stroud to Damian Pierce connection seems to be sort of bubbling up, where people were thinking he might fade into the background because he was a lower draft pick and he didn't have a lot of draft capital where it would ensure his playing time. He's been showing out in camp and like making over the shoulder, like twisting back behind him, like diving catches, and it's making it more interesting to me seeing him used in all those different ways, as opposed to just a guy who was like, oh, he was a volume player who had some good plays, but he's nothing really special. He might actually be something special.
He came out good last year. He had a good first rookie year.
He was good.
I'm interested in seeing him. He's value-wise, where he falls, he generally doesn't fall on my end of the board with mock drafting, but
I haven't
anything could
really
happen.
seen him. That's the thing. I wasn't even really paying much attention to him. I was just like, oh, he was a great little rookie. I drafted him and then I ended up trading him, but he's a rookie, but he's on that young team and doesn't really have a lot of draft capital. I'm not really paying too much attention to him, but then now I'm realizing like maybe I should start paying attention to him because I try to, at this point in the season, I try to like identify my blind spots. Like what could I be missing? Do I have any biases against teams or players where I'm like, maybe I'm not seeing this clearly. And so I try to figure out like what my blind spots might be. And I was thinking, you know what? I should at least pay attention to this a little bit more. This Damian Pierce kid. He might have something.
Well, I was gonna go bias because of its Giants, but
Go ahead.
it's the story because everybody's question or the saying was they didn't address the receiving core, right? So
I was one of those people. Go ahead.
So they have some options there, and Waller's. There's been some reports saying that he has to sit down, because he's always open. And Hyatt's coming out with was kind of looking some good catches out there, breaking away with the speed.
Okay, yeah. The report of Waller was that they had to take him off the field so Daniel Jones would throw to someone else, which is preposterous.
No, it's not. It's real life.
But
He's so open. He's such a freak of nature.
He's so much better than everybody else, and he's so much bigger. Wasn't he like 6'5" or something like that?
Yeah, he's just
and
quick, fast.
That they had to take him off the field so that he would throw to somebody else. That's crazy. But if it's true, it's certainly intriguing. But at the same time, it's going to be like, somebody else is going to have to do something because defenses can double Darren Waller.
And I think that's what it is you have the Paris Campbell and the Hyatt.
Jalen Hyatt has been
a quick speed.
Has been getting out there. So it's certainly interesting. The Giants passing game could take a leap forward.
Daniel Jones had one interception last year. He was very accurate last year. If he can continue to go that route.
He only had one interception all season.
And
that's interesting. How many passing touchdowns did he have?
15.
15. Yikes. He probably didn't have.
He had a couple rushing.
And he also had like 700 rushing yards. But he had a fine year on the ground because they were like, look, this guy can't really throw the ball. Let's let him run the ball. But didn't like Nick Foles have a year like that where he had like when he took over he had like two interceptions or something like that?
Yeah, it was just all crazy.
But
but they also were dead last in pass plays over 15, 20, 25.
Right. He was just dinking and dunking. And
they didn't also have anybody. Like as they pull in a guy, Isaiah Hodgins, off the street, and he comes in and starts to be the wide receiver one for them when he comes on. So it shows you that there wasn't anybody there.
Right. This kid Jalen Hyatt is going to have to still exceed expectations. Like I read a couple of those same reports probably or similar reports about him, taking the top off the defense is just what they needed, blah, blah, blah. But he's going to have to do it at the NFL level in real games before.
For sure.
For
sure, but when you add the mix in of Waller, and then you have Barkley in the backfield, and then you have a quick
the report with
Campbell.
Waller is hilarious to me. They had to take him off the field so Daniel Jones would throw to somebody else.
Because he's always open, bro.
Which is, I mean...
Just you can't...
What if the Giants' defense just stinks? What about that? What if they just can't cover tight ends? Because that's been the Giants' bugaboo. They just can't cover tight ends.
What was that?
So you guys, when was the last time you had a linebacker that?
No, they were definitely always in the bottom 10 for sure as against the tight end for a long time.
You can't cover tight ends.
Jason Witten used to do circles.
Well, the Cowboys always
Jason Witten slow as molasses.
Cowboys choose good tight ends. Who was Dalton Schultz before he was in the Cowboys?
Yeah,
and that's why they're here a little bit. Maybe Jake Ferguson.
Now that you mentioned that, what I'm really interested in, and a lot of people are not talking about, is the young receiver core out in Green Bay.
Oh, and the quarterback.
And the quarterback situation.
So,
a lot of people are saying, like, draft heavy with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. They're going to run the ball a ton. These guys could.
A.J. Dillon, down with A.J. Dillon. Aaron Jones, maybe. But A.J. Dillon, no thank you.
Everybody's pumping, the run game. I really think Jordan Love, like any young team or whatever, I think he's a little bit different. I think this kid might come out like firing. Like this kid might be, something that like, hey, he's going to learn how to win games.
Medium spice. Medium spice take.
Like, I don't know. I really do think that this kid, Jordan Love, like, I'm not saying he's going to be a playoff team, but I think he's going to win some games that some people are going to be like, oh, this kid maybe has potential. Like, this kid was sitting behind, and he's actually a decent quarterback. And I think this is the year, really, that he has to prove to be like, hey, let me win some big games. I got some he's got literally the youngest wide receivers over there. I like what's coming out with, like, the Romeo Dobbs thing. Because we all know Christian Watts is going to be an absolute beast, but it's nice to hear in camp that Romeo Dobbs, that the kid, Jaden Reed that they drafted.
Do we know that Christian Watson is going to be a beast? Do we know that?
Do we know the Muffin Man?
I don't. I wonder about that. Why wasn't he? He was like injured to start the year or something like that.
He was a little banged up, but he came in lighting it up.
He scored a bunch of touchdowns on like some big plays. I wonder. He's a guy who I don't have a lot of confidence in. I've drafted him.
I have confidence in him as a player. I don't have confidence in the QB.
Wow, you really don't like this guy.
It's not that I don't like him. It's just that I don't know what he is. Sorry,
I like other people that are around him where he's going, but I still think he was a good player. I just don't trust the quarterback. Green Bay, don't trust.
That's the
so.
thing.
Let me ask you this: I'm going to put it this way, and a lot of people will be like, I don't know, but like, what's the difference between Jordan Love and Justin Fields passing? Like, Justin Fields did not prove anybody right about being a passer.
Well, he proved him to be a runner.
Wait, what's Jordan Love's college stats compared to Justin Fields? Probably not as good, right?
Well, Justin Fields was like amazing over at Ohio State.
Okay, well that's the difference then.
Yeah, but like
that's the answer to your question. Is that ever going to stop making those?
Right about now. And then, yeah, you answered your own question right there.
That's the answer to the question. What's the difference between them passing? Is that Justin Fields has a resume where he was an awesome passer in college and he carried the team and all this other stuff. And by the way, he's like Michael Vick running the football.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's not a great NFL passer right now. But he's got something that you can look at and say, this is this guy. This guy Jordan Love is all speculation. He's complete speculation.
He played well at the end of the year.
He played okay. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be bad.
Yeah, Devontae Adams.
I just don't know who he is.
No.
Oh, the end of his last year. Last year.
He didn't have it.
Yeah, I don't know who he is. So for me, that's just a huge question mark. I would invest in Aaron Jones in that offense at the right price. But other than that, I don't know. Like, where does Christian Watson get drafted? What round?
So
Fourth?
He's around the Drake London area.
Yeah, like the
fourth,
like the
round,
fifth area.
Around the
I don't think so.
I would say
Not
even
for
fourth
me.
round.
Not for me. Yeah,
No,
but
that's probably
He's a little after like DK.
I'll tell you this: that is an interesting. Like, whether or not I like the player is irrelevant to your point. You make a good point about the Green Bay offense, because I think that's one of those. There's so many of those in offenses, and maybe this is the next good topic to discuss potentially if a team pops into your mind. Offenses that, if you can kind of figure them out, because there's such a question mark, then you could unlock some true fantasy value. Like you're saying, like if you can figure out that passing game and hit on the right player or whatever, you might be able to unlock some fantasy value there. There's a bunch of different situations, like the Philadelphia running back situation. If you can hit the right player, you can unlock a lot of fantasy value.
Baltimore receiver.
The Baltimore receiver situation.
Carolina
receiver. Yeah, who's going to catch the passes in that offense?
Yeah, is it like Jonathan Mingo? Is it Adam Thielen? Is it
DJ Chark?
Yeah.
Is it some tight end that I don't even know who their tight end is? There's a lot of different teams that
the Texans that we just talked about.
Texans is a good one, right?
Arizona, when Kyler Murray comes back, is that offense?
I think Arizona's pretty clear.
Yeah,
it's Hollywood. Yeah, Hollywood and potentially
Rondell Moore.
Well, the tight end. I was actually going to mention the tight end. James Conner is going to be a beast in that offense. But there's a couple of situations. Let's see who else.
Washington.
I was about to say the Washington.
The Giants receiver. If you could pick the one that ends up being the
Giants is good. Who do you think is going to play more games at quarterback in Washington? Howell or Brissett?
I hear everybody's
who's gonna
talking.
get more
I think everybody's asking or talking Howell.
Sam Howell. I think Sam Howell needs to. he needs to be the starter because I feel like Jacoby Brissett, he's a guy that might win 7 games. He's not that bad, actually. He's just...
Yeah, I thought he was doing
okay.
pretty good. He played. I mean, I know Amari Cooper played really well with Jacoby Brissett,
Your boy.
but I don't know what their like overall record was when
They
were
had
playing.
a winning record.
I
And
think
then
they were
Watson,
playing well.
yeah, they were playing winning football, and then Watson came back. And I'm sorry to say this, man. That's another offense where we could talk about. The Cleveland Browns offense
Get out of here.
could be awesome.
That's
Offense could be awesome.
or they could be terrible.
Or they could be like...
I think Nick
awful.
Chubb's going to be awesome no matter which way you slice it. But
Agreed. Yeah, the pass. That's one where like, okay, so like, what's your confidence level? 10 is the most confident. 1 is the least confident. What's your confidence level that Deshaun Watson returns to like, 75% or better of his old self?
75% or better.
I'm going to put it this way about
You know what I
Deshaun
mean? I think
Watson.
that's
It's a fair one. Yeah.
Right.
I think, yeah,
Seven.
I'm going to put, man, 7's even pushing it, man.
So you're less confident than that?
Yeah, like I'm
So how
right.
could their offense be awesome if
Yeah, what I'm saying is their ceiling is to be honest with you, top 5 offense. Their ceiling is top 5 offense.
okay, I
like
accept.
I'm gonna put it this way: like they have the potential to be better than like a Chargers offense, something like that.
Sure.
In terms of that, but what I'm
Talk
saying
about,
is,
like,
is that
if you do like a list of their names,
like Amari
of the-
Cooper,
Elijah Mitchell,
Elijah Moore,
Elijah
Moore.
right. David Njoku, Deshaun Watson, Nick Chubb,
Nick
Donovan
Chubb.
Peoples-Jones.
Donovan
Right,
Peoples-Jones. Yeah,
right. I mean, I think we can stop right there. But
That's a decent
But yeah.
wide receiver 3.
but you're telling me exactly. But you're telling me that somehow Deshaun Watson doesn't perform and everybody else is good. That can't happen. Like you can't have one without the other. You say 7, and you say maybe not 7, maybe 6.
Yeah,
At 75%, I think to me that's like I expected.
You were higher.
Well, no, it's not that I was higher. It's just that setting the line at 75%. What's your confidence level? I thought I would get more sort of like dramatic scores, like 8 or 9, or maybe like a 3 or 4. You guys were still super middle of the road. I feel like 6, 7. You still didn't want to get like very. You didn't really want to push your chips all the way into the table there. So to me, that says that in general, there's just not a whole lot of confidence that Deshaun Watson is going to be that dude. Now here's the question, because the point I heard on another podcast, I think, was, is it because you're rooting against him because everything that he did was really shitty, or is it because you just think that he can't physically do it?
I'm just going by what I saw,
Okay,
and it didn't look good.
fair. I mean, is that fair though? Because it was at the end of the season and under the circumstances that he was under.
Right. So he played at a very bad percentage of what he could play at. So for him to go to 75, which to me would be like playing double as better as what he was, I'm not gonna go too high on that. Give it 7. Doesn't mean that at the right area, if an Amari Cooper falls, that I won't look. But I already know because I drafted in every position. I already know that
Amari Cooper goes to
John
in like the 2nd round or something like that, or the 3rd round. I can't remember what round it is, but that's because I've done mocks.
It's a
and Amari
3-4.
Cooper's always it's a 3-4. Okay, because he's always in that turn, and I'm always thinking in my mind like, John's not gonna be able to resist. You're not gonna be able to resist taking Amari Cooper, whatever turn that is. And there's nothing wrong with it. He's a good player. I mean, last year
he was the home run hitter for him.
Yeah, last year he was a great pick for you. If you can get him at a nice pick for you again this year, then good for you. But
you guys can't
But
stand
that
Amari Cooper.
it's not that, no, it's just that I can't trust Amari Cooper, and I don't think that anything that we just said here right now makes me feel any better about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I have David Njoku, and I'm trying to think of anything that can make me feel real confident of Deshaun Watson being a good quarterback and supporting that tight end.
Yeah.
And I didn't get anything from this conversation that makes me feel that way. And so for that reason, I'm still like wavering on the whole Cleveland Browns thing. But again, I think that's a really great get by you that if you can unlock that if that offense can unlock itself, then that could be a ton of fantasy value for whoever ends up with those players.
I think Jacksonville's offense is going to be better than the Browns' offense this year.
I think that's not a hot take at all.
No,
Jacksonville's been like a playoff team. They won a playoff game last year. I mean, that's not a hot take at all. That's to be expected. I think that if Jacksonville doesn't come out and like put up numbies, then there's a problem there. Like Doug Peterson, people are going to start questioning Doug Peterson because that offense, at least, I don't know what their defense situation is. I think their defense is pretty solid, but maybe even average. That offense is pretty stacked.
They're young.
That offense is stacked. And Trevor Lawrence needs to take that step forward. He's in the league 3-4 years now. No, 3 years, right?
Yeah.
First year is kind of a wash, but he needs to take a step forward. Maybe it's not the big step, but whatever the case, Jacksonville needs it. Give me a second.
Calvin Ridley's looking, and you saw that video. I think I might have said it to you, like where they had Zay Jones running the route, and then they had Calvin Ridley, and then TJ. It was just like,
oh yeah, but the thing I was reading is that like maybe Ridley just ran the route hard, and Zay Jones did it.
Zay Jones is soft, is what you're saying?
No, he was just like running a route in like the beginning of training camp, being like, I'm just trying to get back like loose. And meanwhile, Calvin Ridley's hitting it like, I haven't done anything in 2 years. Let me go out here and fucking.
Or maybe he was hitting it like, this is me warming up and I'm lightning.
It's hard to not get. And I still haven't seen the video, and I'm kind of glad I haven't at this point because it's like I don't want to get too over like my skis about one video of a dude running a route. And it was like the first day of training camp. It's like, what are we talking about?
Let's watch at least a preseason game and see how he is.
Let's see him go in there, and get hit one time, get up, and run another route, and then like let's start there, and then we'll go from there. Like
he still got it, like physically running.
He's still real healthy. He's fit. He's very nice.
He's supposed to be a wide receiver one,
right? But he was also out of the game for like a year and a half.
Right. So I think it's important to like pump the brakes, especially like he's the one guy who I feel is most likely to be like way overdrafted. I can't think of another guy, at least in the first handful of rounds, who I feel like is going to end up getting drafted. And
it's bang or bust kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, he could be good, but he's going to be like whatever his ADP is right now. I don't know what it is.
I think he's third round.
It's going to be like a full round or higher than that by the time we're drafting. It's going to be a full round.
Because you ran.
Yeah, I'm going to put it this way.
No, because he will have played his preseason games. This is after now. We haven't seen any preseason football at all. You guys saw a fucking route in shorts. Like this is what we laugh about this every offseason, right? But
he wasn't.
The games will have been played at that point. We'll have seen at least a couple of times where Trevor Lawrence threw a really nice looking ball to Calvin Ridley, and he like fell down for 11 yards, and people would be like, "Oh!" And he's going to go from whatever a third round pick, he's going to become a second round pick.
No, he might go first overall.
Well, I don't know about first overall, but
but that's what happens.
Like at the second round turn, where is it? Oh, like your pick,
my 2-3,
you're going to be seeing Calvin Ridley go right there.
I might.
So, you'll probably end up with him on your team.
I already know.
I think Calvin Ridley's definitely.
Well, you know what's going on now, but then I'm telling you, 3 preseason games, the whole entire preseason.
It changed from mock drafts in the past. From me doing it, let's say this past week, have changed from a month ago. So of course they're going to change in another 3 weeks from now.
Well, even like the defenses, like the way
preseason games, people unfortunately knock on wood. People get injured during preseason games. That changes everything. People who you thought were supposed to be good are sucking. That's just how it goes.
Yeah. Once people see how much of a beast Darren Waller is, he's gonna fly up.
They're gonna be like, "All right, guys, he hasn't gone off the field because he can't. They can't stop him. He's unstoppable."
Yeah, the Daniel Jones, the Darren Waller connection seems unstoppable.
It is unstoppable.
So
Darren Waller's gonna have 1,000 yards.
Let me ask you this question:
over 1,000 yards this season.
Is Daniel Jones?
If he stays,
does Daniel Jones get drafted in our draft?
Yes.
Really?
Wait,
Daniel Jones gets drafted in our draft?
No, hold on. I don't think so.
Interesting.
He can. He should.
We're gonna have somebody, and it's not because of some idiot's gonna draft a second quarterback.
Well,
he's gonna be like Daniel Jones.
You're gonna get
some idiot's
gonna 3 people that do 2 QBs that are just like, I guess, the middle of the pack kind of situation, or just because they feel that way. I don't know.
So if that's the case, then you have your Bryce Youngs and C.J. Stroud might go both before Daniel Jones. In my opinion, I would draft Daniel Jones before the rookies.
I agree. He's in an offense that is expected to make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
He's in an offense. He's a locked-in starter. Nothing but injury takes him out of that role, and they're expected to win games and make the playoffs.
So let me ask you this: do you think you could beat the Cowboys
Week 1.
No, I'm talking about like
Week 1, yes.
Like I'm talking about
Finish
you being
the
second in
season.
the
Yes,
division.
I said New York Giants and the New York Jets will be second in their division this year.
So obviously the Eagles win the division.
Yes.
But in the East, you think the Bills finish ahead of the Jets?
Mhm. Bills, Jets, Dolphins. I think the Giants finish second. I think they beat the Cowboys Week 1. It's just like,
honestly,
look
a
what
lot
they
of people
did
are down
last year with
on
what
the
they
Cowboys
did.
this year.
And they had now a full off season. All the pickups they did, defensively, offensively, the draft, much better team. And I think Dak,
They have a
Dak
better
is
defense,
digressed. I think Dak
Like
is
you
digressed.
guys are not going to score again. Like the Cowboys' defense this year is supposed to be like crazy good,
Well,
like crazy good.
but Darren Waller's gonna be on the field. But I think Dak,
Yeah, but they have like that's the thing
I
you
think
don't
Dak is-
understand about
People
like
are concerned about Mike McCarthy and the offense.
yeah, it's
That's
the
what it
offense.
is.
Like that's the thing about the Cowboys. Can they score points?
Dak
The
is
defense
regressed, bro.
we know can shut down any defense. Like we've seen it last year. They were a really consistent defense. The Cowboys.
Well, like
And
CeeDee
then-
Lamb, phenomenal receiver. Tony Pollard, great choice if you had him last year. He was like one of the best choices value to have. I do not believe in Dak. And a few years ago, I did. I think I might have drafted him a few years ago. I think he's his digress. He's
It's
not good.
regress.
Regress. I think that. Yeah. Whatever. He sucks. I don't think he's very good. I think Daniel Jones finishes as a better QB than him. I think they beat him week 1.
Wow.
Yeah, I would say that Daniel Jones above Dak is a good bet to make. I think that's a good bet to make. John,
Nice.
speaking of bets to make, you've been in New Jersey now for a handful of days. Have you made any bets for the season?
No, I
And-
plan on doing it tomorrow.
Yeah, you didn't think of it at all.
I did not.
Because it's not in his normal nature. You know what I mean?
No.
Well, because like if you had to bet right now, who would you bet for like the winner of the Super Bowl?
Oh man.
The winner of the Super
The
Bowl.
winner of the Super Bowl this year would be.
Wow.
I'm gonna go with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Interesting pick. I like it.
I'm gonna go with the Cincinnati Bengals.
If
They
the
probably have low odds though.
Very
it
low
might be a
odds.
good bet to make.
The
If-
Cincinnati Bengals
Smart
win
bet.
their first.
So you're not going to hit it.
If the Chiefs before
They've never won a Super Bowl.
if the Bengals, I don't think they have.
No.
If the Chiefs like pull a wide receiver, a good wide receiver, like via trade before the deadline or whatever, but I think the Eagles. I hate to
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah, the
They
Eagles.
they were great. They're unstoppable offense last year. Like you were the first hand to know, right? Because you had AJ Brown and
Jalen
Jalen
Hurts.
Stack. Like at the end of the halftime games of the Eagles games, you were like, all right, well, between these two guys, I'm having 100 points. Like they are on pace for 40 points
the
each
problem
every
is
time,
that
and then
they
they
didn't
slow
play
down.
in the second
But then they
half.
slowed down. They ran the ball more. So and they made their defense better. They're just a fucking great team, and I think that they're
I
in
definitely
the Super
have
Bowl.
Philly going to the Super Bowl.
Philly's going to the Super Bowl. It's a matter
I
of
just
who's
think
going. And
I
can
just
they
think
beat 'em.
they're going to lose to Cincinnati.
So Philly Bengals. That was my pick from last year. Those are my two teams from last year.
So I just really think
It's like
that
San Fran's like another like tough
Yeah.
choice.
here's what I've said: the offense is there. I think that the defense needs to play championship defense, and
Who are you talking about?
we're talking about Cincinnati's
Okay.
defense. They don't have Eli Apple there no more.
Oh, boy.
So are they still a good defense?
I know they drafted their secondary. I'm just waiting for like those guys that are like building blocks. Those guys that they drafted about 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember the guy's name, but like I'm just hoping that they develop the guys that they're good enough to be like, hey, let's get stops when stops are needed because your offense is like amazing, and I feel like the Cincinnati's defense is like they play well, like in certain situations, like, but I feel like there's certain games that I'm like, hey, like Joe Burrow can't win it for you all the time. Like the defense needs to make it stop. And I feel like Cincinnati sometimes just falls a little short of that. And like, I'll tell you what, the big difference is the Chiefs defense showed up to win the Chiefs their like second Super Bowl.
Yeah.
For Patrick Mahomes. So
yeah, Patrick Mahomes had a little bit to do with that as well.
Yes,
but Jalen Hurts, not for nothing, Jalen Hurts should have been the MVP of that game, even though he lost. He played incredible. Yeah,
except that one fumble. One fumble screwed him up.
Sometimes all you need.
That was essentially the difference, right?
Yeah, I don't want to say it, but yeah, that's good. I think
Eagles. The Eagles are very good. I mean, again, not a very big bet, but you'll definitely have. It's a smart bet.
I don't do those.
So maybe what you could do is bet you bet the matchup. You get like maybe a better number if it's Eagles versus Bengals, and then that actually happens instead of just betting the winner. Probably get a better plus.
Yeah.
I like you know what I did? I parlayed all the division winners together. 8-way parlay, or like a 6-way parlay.
All the division winners?
All the division winners parlayed that together. It was like a huge number.
Was it?
Ridiculous.
Really?
Ridiculous number.
I gotta look at that.
I think I would win like $20,000 or something like that if I won on like a $5 bet, because I parlayed a whole bunch of the division winners together. So I would say make that bet. If you're gonna make the bets, don't forget, make that bet. That's
so Anthony,
I'm doing my thing, yeah.
I know we were talking about this, but I think something that I am going to stand with this year, that I'm more firm about this year, is that Minnesota will win their division again.
I picked them, I think, in that division because Detroit is favored. So Minnesota has a better number to win the division. I picked Minnesota.
So I'm going to say that that's my bold prediction, like last year, and that's the only thing that I feel like has stayed the same.
Minnesota.
I
can see the Lions doing it though.
Give us one bold prediction to close the show.
Bold prediction.
The Giants will win the Super Bowl.
Darren Waller finishes at tight end 2 right after Kelsey.
That is a pretty bold prediction, I'd say. I think that's fair, bold prediction. Very good, very good. My bold prediction is going to be that Aaron Rodgers finishes inside the top 8 quarterbacks.
8? Oh my God, I thought I was going to say 12 too.
Wow.
8? That's pretty bold. I mean, it shouldn't be because he's
I don't know. I didn't even really do the math on that in my head. Eight might be too much.
10?
Probably be like
Top 10.
But yeah, that's my bold prediction.
If he makes it in the top 10, I'd be shocked.
Shocked in the top 10?
It's
Top 10, I don't think would be shocked. See, bold. No, you know what? Make it top 8 because that's bold. That's really bold prediction. You know what I mean? It might not come true. It's likely not to come true, but that's why it's a bold. Well, that's why it makes it a bold prediction.
No, it does.
So
8 is bold. 8 is bold.
So
because that's his number 8.
That's fair.
So there you go. Top 8.
So there you go. Bold takes.
Bold.
All right, and we will see. I think what we're going to do now, because we have like almost exactly 3 weeks until the draft, is we're going to not do another show until we actually do the draft. Maybe the night of the draft, we get on for a little while. I mean, you're going to be on the video with us the entire time.
In the car, this could be fun.
Oh wait, in the car. Oh, that's right, because you're going to be.
I have class,
so you're not going to be on the call with us the entire time.
At some point, I will be on.
You'll jump on a call with us. So what we'll do is figure out something to do in the meantime, because we're going to be here doing the thing. But
we're going to be here doing the thing.
Yeah, the next episode will be the actual draft day episode. But I'll see you guys then, where it's always Sunday.
You have to fucking class? You can't skip it? Who cares? It's fucking fantasy, bro.